And then there's a different Yetzer. Yetzer that's like an atomic bomb on your head. You go to work, all of a sudden they hire a new assistant at the office. And this new assistant, all of a sudden she wants your attention. You're married though. And all of a sudden she wants you to show her around because she just moved into the area and be friendly. Platonic relationship. More like atomic relationship. Atomic bomb. Because as soon as your wife realizes that you hung out with some girl from the office for an hour and a half after work time, or during work time, or before work time, or any time at all, your marriage may be over. But you're not thinking about that at that moment. You're thinking about, she's cute, she likes me, I'm helping her out at the end of the day. I'm being such a nice guy, I'm a tzaddik. Chesed, she's new in the area. And she's a goya, perfect. Look, it's Kiddush Hashem. Showing the goyim how nice Jews are. All of the justification in the world is going to come to you. He's going to tell you, listen, you should take her out, show her around. Maybe even pay for a rent for a month or two. Yetzer is going to tell you all these different things. But this is atomic bomb. So the Gemara in Masechet Brachot, page 5 says, if the Satan comes to you this way, with this atomic bomb, then you do what we talked about in previous Shiurim. First you say Kriyat Shema. Then you learn some Torah. And then you remind yourself of the day you're going to die. Simple explanation of all three. He says, first, remind yourself there's a God. Say Kriyat Shema. Shema Yisrael. Hashem, I remember there's a God. It's watching me. There's an eye that sees, an ear that hears. Everything that we're doing is being written in a book. It's last week's Mishnah. Last week's Shiur we did in New York. Shema Yisrael, remind you, there's a God that's watching you. Eventually you're going to have to pay the bill, my friend. Maybe your wife's not going to find out, but Hashem knows. Maybe your wife's not going to find out, but the demons you're creating, they also know. The mitzvah you're trying to make is no mitzvah at all, my friend. You're destroying your eternity with this chesed. So say Kriyat Shema. Sometimes it's not enough though. Sometimes it's not enough. Maybe somebody's connection to Hashem is not that strong for him to even put himself in that situation. Already shows Kriyat Shema may not be enough. He's not that strong. He's very vulnerable. He watches a few things with some immodesty on the internet, so he always thought about this thing being, exotic. All the shtiot that are in his head that show him in movies. He wants to be like a character in a movie. So Kriyat Shema is not going to be enough for him. So go. Run. Go learn some Torah. Read something. Open a Sefer Tehillim. Open a Chumash. Open a Gemara. This is why every one of you should always have something, some Sefer Kodesh, with you at all times. At all times, get ready. Satan's coming. Read something. What do you mean reading? I can't even focus. All I can see is this blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl that wants my attention. You want me to read Torah? Okay, maybe that's not going to be enough for you. So he says, remind him of the day he's going to die. Why? No one likes to think about death. Even though if you read the Torah, whether you read the 5 books of Moses, or you read Tehillim, or you read any of the sages' books, any of the prophets, there's constant talk of death. Not because Am Yisrael is a morbid nation, Chas v'Shalom. It's not that we like death, but we think of death as just a transition from Alma de Shikra, from the world of lies to the world of truth. It's a transition, it's not an end. So if you think of it that way, then your end is really only the beginning. But a beginning of what is the question? So when someone thinks about it, say, oh, wait a minute, there's going to be a day that I have to start paying the bill. I'm going to have to go, before I start this eventual new beginning, I have to pay the bill. I have to go show up in front of the judge, the King of Kings. And he's going to tell me about all the things that I did. I don't have to tell him. He already knows. He's going to ask me, did you conduct your business with faith? Did you have emunah in your business? What do you mean to conduct your business in faith? Did you work on Shabbat? Sometimes. Oh, that means you didn't really believe the parnasah is for me. You thought you were making the parnasah. Did you work overtime? Yeah, usually 2-3 weeks out of the month. Oh, so you thought that the money's coming from you, that I don't have enough money, that you have to work extra time. I spent all my money on creating the world and I ran out of money when it came to you. Did you overcharge people? Yeah, sometimes when I had an opportunity. Why, you thought the only way to get ahead is by taking advantage of innocent people? I can't give you the money in an honest way. Did you gamble? Well, yeah, sometimes I go, play a few sports, a few this, a few that. My friend won $70,000 last week. I figured maybe I could do the same. Oh, so you didn't read the halakha that gambling is stealing, it's gezel. You didn't read that part. Okay, first question, we're in trouble. Second question, did you make time to learn Torah? Now, based on your response of the first question, we already know the answer of the second one. Really, we would think logically that the first question should be, did you make time to learn Torah? But here we learn, it's not about just learning, it's about doing. You can learn all the Torah in the world, but if you're not doing what it says, it's worthless. It says in the Gemara, Masechet Shabbat, page 31a. Resh Lakish says, it defines different stages of the Mishnah, 6 different parts of the Mishnah. Zaim, Moed, Nashim, Kodashim. It says if someone studies all of these throughout his life, he's in essence studying the Torah. Shrev, it's great. He's in essence, they're trying to define somebody. How does he achieve the ultimate goal? So they say, study Torah. What's the oral Torah at this stage? The Mishnah. Mishnah came before the Gemara. So he's describing each of the 6 parts of the Mishnah. And he says, but the verse that they're getting this from, Yirat Hashem Iotzaro. This is from Megillah. Yirat Hashem Imigolo. It says the fear of God is in his storehouses. What does it mean, the fear of God is in his storehouses? It says that even if someone studied all 6 orders of the Mishnah, the most important thing in the eyes of the Almighty is whether the Mishnah actually taught him anything. Meaning, whether he's developed Yirat Shamayim, whether he's developed fear of Hashem. Meaning he could learn the Torah, know it all by heart. Great, Chazaku Baruch. You have no Yirat Shamayim, you're missing something. So the rest of the Gemara explains it a little more detail, so everybody understands it's not just me interpreting it. Rava says, when they escort a person to his final heavenly judgment after his death, this is the same Mishnah we just talked about, what they ask you. The heavenly tribunal says to him, did you conduct your business transactions faithfully? Did you set aside fixed time for Torah study? Did you engage in procreation, bringing children to the world? Did you wait and hope for the Mashiach? Did you delve into wisdom? Did you go deeper into Limud Torah? Or you just came to a Shiur once a week? You watch YouTube. What'd you do? When you learned Torah, did you learn it deeply and infer one thing from the other? Did you do all these things? But even so, meaning even if you did all of this, even if you answered yes to all the questions, yes, check, you don't even know what the question is, you already put check. But even so, Yirat Hashem iotzoro en. If fear of God was was this person's storehouse, then yes, his judgment is favorable. Ilo, lo. But if not, then no, his judgment is not favorable. Meaning you can learn the entire Torah. You don't have a foundation of Yirat Shamayim, it's all worthless. And to final it off, they give you a parable. Or analogy. It says, what is this like? One time a person goes to his boss, he says, well, what could I do? And the boss says, bring me a coal of wheat. Go to the attic and get some wheat. Or organize the wheat over there. Sure. He goes. He does what his boss says. Comes back. And the boss asks him, did you mix for me a cup of kumton? Did you mix with the wheat? Did you put this chemical on it? He says, no. And the boss says, it would have been better had you never brought up the wheat in the first place. Why? Because the chemical, the extra thing, was the preservative. Now that you put it all up there, with no chemical, it's all going to get ruined. You learn the whole Torah, you're going to forget all of it. You learn the whole Torah, you're not going to do any of it. Without Yirat Shamayim, you have nothing. Nothing is going to convince you to wake up 6 o'clock in the morning. The fact that you know the halakha, to do this, to do that, you know the segula, you know this, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And here in Gemara Masechet Shabbat, it's telling us, if you're not planning on working on Yirat Shamayim, it's better off you don't do anything. To that extent. Now the question you should all be asking yourself is now, why isn't anybody teaching Yirat Shamayim? Why does everybody teach, emunah, Avat Hashem, loving Hashem, being kind, being this, being that? Very, very few actually teach Yirat Shamayim. What, they missed this Gemara? They forgot this page, and the many, many other pages that show it. All the way from the 5 books of Moses, to Mishle, which is Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, it's everywhere. Every book that you talk about in MUSSAR, anything else talks about Yirat Shamayim. What happened? Why isn't anybody teaching it? Unfortunately, this is the foundation. Yirat Shamayim is the foundation of MUSSAR. And it takes guts to learn MUSSAR. Meaning, you have to want to change in order for you to learn about Yirat Shamayim. If you think you're perfect, there's no reason for you to learn about it. If you think you're doing fine, why would you learn it? Why would you change? Why would you do anything? Now, if you're interested in changing because you're interested in getting closer to Hashem, then we have something to talk about. So now the Gemara says in this big Yetzer that you have, this big Yetzer where this woman comes, or this thing comes, or different types of Yetzer, some atomic bomb comes to your attention, the way that you can overcome it, if Kriyat Shema doesn't work, if learning Torah doesn't work because you can't focus, is to think about the day you're going to die, because that day you're going to die, you're forced to have Yirat Shamayim. Because you're forced to think of what's going to happen after I die. Am I going to turn into a tree? Or something happens? But that's not actually the Yetzer that we all deal with every day. That's the Yetzer of once in a while.